So we all arrive at Sydney Airport, 30 blokes, one goal, one dream. Everyone's so excited. We're ready to take on a challenge of a lifetime.
We're ready to go, mate. No, it was great excitement, and I remember getting the ticket put on my bag and going on the carousel and waving a goodbye. I didn't know that's the last I was going to see it for another 2 or 3 days.
So our first day in a new country, Kathmandu. It was a good opportunity to get to know the locals.
We checked things out. We tried to go as a group as much as we could. Then we broke up a little bit, but all in the back of our minds all that time was, when is our bags going to get here?
We even had a couple of the boys hoping they didn't turn up because they wanted a bigger challenge. I don't think...
Yes. Bottom line was, we ended up finding the bags were coming at midnight that night. 4:30 that next morning, we had to be up and ready for a massive day just to get us on the mountain. So it was quite a difficult time.
It was, and I can tell you at Kathmandu Airport, there's no first class lounge or anything like that. So it was hot. It was stuffy.
We get to the Kathmandu Airport, and if you can just picture the madness that's there. There's people running everywhere, and here's 30 boys from Australia doing their best. We knew it would be a convoluted, hard experience because we heard about the time frames, but we actually waited forever and forever just in one part of the airport. Then they shifted us over to another part, and I'm telling you, if it wasn't 40 degrees heat in there, I'm not here. I was shot, but it was great to see blokes like Matty Johns and a few others get the boys around, telling stories. We're trying to keep ourselves up.
It was a great opportunity for everyone to get to know each other. Blokes were telling stories. It brought the group together, and it certainly laid the platform for what was to come.
Commercial airlines, they shouldn't be so small that you can actually hear the emergency alarms going off. So as we're going up in the air, I can see the two pilots up the front, jumping around like they're on a semi-trailer getting bumped on potholes, and the sign, the signal's going beep, 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 warning, too close. It was the worst plane trip I'd ever been on, and apparently the boys in the first trip that went before us, it was even worse.
It was a really, really hairy 45-minute trip.
I remember so distinctly, I think a few of the boys kissed the deck when they got out at Lukla. And it was a combination between, wow, that was one of the biggest thrills as far as excitement, and mate, I never want to do that again type of feeling. And I was leaning a little bit towards I never want to do that again type of feeling. But you looked out and all we could see was amazing roof lines of the village, hairy yaks around everywhere, the smell of that, you're in high altitude, and man, the excitement level just went through the roof. So I think we all remember to a T when we all got off that aeroplane at Lukla Airport and looked at the challenge ahead. We get all our bags together, we rally the troops, we have a bit of lunch, and we take our first step of many steps up that mountain. And again, a wonderful feeling. Looking along the line, I was towards the back, and I could see all the heads of the guys up ahead, and everyone's chatting away busily and talking about what's coming. Really exciting time, and if we could only vision what was ahead of us, I think we'd be even more excited.
I think that first walk took a few of us by surprise. It was our first taste of the altitude, light altitude it was. But it started to get dark and the walk went a lot longer than we were expecting, and I still remember the hard rocks and your ankles and feet hitting each one of them. And it gave us a real picture that this was certainly going to be no picnic. So there's a lot of excitement. It's our first night on the mountain. and we get our first taste of tea houses. These were going to be our accommodation for the next 10 nights or so. And Chief, it wasn't 5-star, but it was a bed.
Yeah, our first stop or first night was a little village called Fating, and it was about 2,500 metres above sea level. First good stop for the boys, and we all had a good cup of tea when we first got there, a chat, a brief about that day, because that was a very, very long day. If you remember, we started at 4:30 in the morning, went all through that dilemma in the airport. We've actually get there, we have the flight, and then we walk, and this is our first stop after a huge day. So it was great relief. A few of the guys were very, very tired, maybe at the edge of the tether a little bit, and we haven't even started. So it was a nice spot to have a rest.
And it was the first chance to get to know your roommate. This was important because each night you have your same roommate and you're sleeping in a shoebox style room. Basically can shake hands in your little single beds. It was important to get to start to know your roommate, and especially important to start setting those ground rules for your partner.
They're funny, man. After we wake up in our first night at the tea house, the next day was absolutely spectacular because we're going to the highest, basically, city or town in the world, Nepal Bazaar. But on the way, there's two amazing wire bridges, the crossings. And, if you've got any issue with heights, this is going to test you out, but absolutely exhilarating views.
Just amazing, and just to see single file people filing across those bridges and still smell the fresh air and the beautiful vision you'd see.
You see yaks walking along, mountainsides there, just tiptoeing through. They actually crossed the bridge as well. It was really surreal, and the height of it and just the construction of it blew everyone out the water. But we all went through there. We took many, many photos and thought about what we're doing and what an amazing place we're in. But from that point, it was a fairly hard hike upwards to Nepal Bazaar for the rest of the day. And I remember a few of the guys had trouble with their belly already. I know Daniel, my young bloke, he was having trouble. So it was the first little time people were getting a little bit of altitude sickness and getting tested out a little bit.
We were starting to get a taste of it, and there was some nibbles of sickness, and you just didn't want to get sick. And we had a couple that went down early, but true to the form of the 30-man team, they were helped by the other guys and made it through.
Straight away, you could tell little pockets of people would break off. Someone knew that someone was doing a bit tough, they'd break off, they'd hang back with them. And there was pockets all the way through our trip where everyone just knew instinctively that someone was doing a bit tough, and they break off and walked with them. It was just absolutely beautiful to watch. But we kept walking up to this amazing village called Nepal Bazaar. And what we didn't know was, we're going to be staying right at the top of the village. The village was amazing. We were blown out the water. There's bakeries, there's bars, there's everything you could think of. Absolutely awesome. But we kept walking past all those things. I'm going, what's going on here? And we'd walk up another set of stairs, and then another set of stairs, and dead set 2 hours later, we're still walking. We had the best view in the universe, but my goodness, it took like 3 hours to get back to town.
Once we got up there, we had a great view, and we also were very close to getting one of our first real glimpses of Mount Everest. So whilst we were a little disappointed not to be closer to the town, we found a good positive out of it. I was blown away to be so high up, so far away from the real world. Yet here's this little functioning little town with a little bar, a little cafe, merchandise shops, and it really did blow us all away.
Nepal Bazaar, to me, as soon as I walked into it, it smelt of great men, because you could tell there's been so many people that have come there with a life goal to climb Everest to the top. This is their last little city. So there's a bar there, their last shot of whiskey, their last thought, their last bit of bakery of normalness, I suppose, before they go up. And also when they come back down, that's where they celebrate. So this place had that special feeling of great people doing great things, and we got caught up in that because we were trying to do some great things in our own unique way.
we all brought little goodies for the locals. We wanted to help, we wanted to brighten their day. And it was one of our first opportunities to do that. And we gave out some Mark Hughes Foundation beanies, and you should have seen the smile light up on their faces. It was priceless. And a group of us got a nice shot with them, and it made their day. Little simple things make these locals so happy. And it certainly taught us a lot on the track that you don't have to have everything in the world to be happy. And these people are really happy. So the next day was acclimatization day. That's where we only walk up 300 or 400 meters and walk back.
After having the rest day in Amphi Bazaar, Temperature was a beautiful walk up. It was quite steep getting there, but once we got there, we saw this amazing view of Mount Everest, and we're surrounded by these colossal snow-capped mountains. But I think it's most famous for this village is for the temples there, the Buddhist temple, the monastery, and all of us went and paid respect. It just happened at that particular time. We're in the middle of their ceremony, and we all sat there and listened with amazement of what they do. After that, we trottled down a little bit further.
A little bit further, and we stumbled across this amazing cafe coffee shop. It would have measured up in Sydney. It was unbelievable, and we all went in, had this amazing coffee, amazing apple pie, and we just sat there, and I think it was a moment where we all just were really grateful and appreciative of where we were, and what the experience we were having. It was really sinking in, and there was plenty of excitement in the group.
I tell you what, by that time, it was really starting to, food started to mean things for you. So if the boys got a good cup of coffee, watch out, they wrestle their grandma for one. And that joint, it had amazing cakes as well. It was outrageous. But one of my good memories was we walked downhill to our lodge for that night, or our tea house, and it wasn't too long. The boys are trying to find a tub. It's freezing cold, and next minute, Kurt Gidley, with the most amazing rig you've ever seen, gets the gear off and gets icy cold water and just tips it all over his head. One of the amazing sights. Look, it is. Food's a really important thing on the track because you're working so hard during the day, but also you're getting a little bit crook because of altitude, so you're off your food a little bit. So it was really important to pick something you like, but I just kept hearing the same things over and over again. Rara noodles, dal bhat, over and over, and all the garlic soup, and all of us to the end, was just absolutely sick of those same things. But everyone had their own little favourite, and you go to. For me, it was chips, deep fried chips. Get them in there, and I just ate them with sauce. And I think a lot of blokes did the same thing. What was your favourite?
My favourite was I forget what they were called, but they were the vegetable dumpling. What I did find, Chief, was the boys would get onto something and just roll with that same dish, maybe for lunch and dinner, because you felt comfortable and safe with it. I know that Denny Badira's had a big theory on the garlic soup, so a lot of us were on the garlic soup diet as well, and I've got to say, it worked. I wasn't sick.
Mate, the garlic soup looked like dish water. It was horrendous. It smelled. It stunk.
It looked like dirty dishwater.
It looked like dirty dishwater.
But we drank it. It was survival.
Because some lunatic told you it was good for you. Mate, that was embarrassing. That garlic soup was the worst choice out of the whole thing.
It was, and I stuck to it. Then I looked down the end during the trip, and Denny had actually gone off it himself. And here's me following his orders. I'm drinking the rusty water, and he's over there drinking a seafood mornay type food.
What do you reckon Stephen Crow was eating most of the time?
He ended up eating humble pie.
He did. He had a large helping of humble pie. It
was another great big day of walking, and And just before we got into Dimbaje, Chief, we ran into an old Knights fan.
You wouldn't believe it. In the middle of snow-capped mountains, here's this blazing Newcastle Knights jumper and a burly fella who you could just tell loves his rugby league, is a great bloke, rocks up to us and
Yeah, and he had the Chief number 10 jersey on, which he was proudly displaying. And he had a mate who thought Mal Reilly was coming, and he had a Manly jersey, and he was a little down that the great Mal Reilly wasn't there, but we had a great substitute in none other than the great Steve Beaver Menzies.
Beaver Menzies, what a champion on tour he was, and he really enjoyed it. So he signed the autograph, and made do, and wow, that place that we went into, that village that we went into at Dembouchet, that was quite an interesting place. Remember, as we settled in, we looked for somewhere to go and have a coffee, and here's this big gambling hut in the middle of the main street going off.
Yeah, there's the locals in the street. So we grabbed some change and we took them on in their game. We weren't sure what it was, but it sure was fun, and they were having fun. And it too was another real little village that was set up really well. A couple of great coffee shops. And it turned out that we spoke to one of the coffee shops and they agreed to close the shop for us. There was 30 of us in there. We had coffee, we had cake, and we enjoyed 2 great movies, all on Everest. We could see it out the window, and then we were watching it on TV. It was a surreal feeling.
You know, that was amazing when you're seeing on TV and you're thinking, man, we're here, we're going to be right at the base of this thing. It made me a little nervous because the movie didn't end good. People went down, but, you know, in this little freezing cold place that we're in, you know, it just really hit home of the magnitude of this mountain and what some people have done in the past, and we're walking in their footsteps. It was amazing.
It was amazing, and we did spend 2 days there. One was an acclimatising day.
All right, guys, 4,955 metres. Smashed it, didn't it, mate?
Well, after another great day on the track, our next stopover sees us at Lumbershire.
Yeah, Lombache was a quaint little village, and if you remember, it had its own separate coffee shop just out front of the tea house, and the boys absolutely loved it. What we did every night is we'd go around as a group and we'd talk about the highs and the lows, and we'd vote on who was man of the match for the day. And I remember distinctly at this particular village having an absolute cracking one of those where we all just stood around and spoke from the heart about, wow, what's happening here and what it means to us. And it was absolutely an amazing location to do it.
Oh, we were jammed in like sardines. And Stephen Crow, who ran these sessions, did a great job. And we would hear people's stories. Everyone on that trip had a great story. We'd tell yarns, and we'd get quite emotional. And it gave me an opportunity to talk to the group about what it means to the Mark Hughes Foundation, you know, for all their amazing support. And it really is important for me to get that message across that what everyone's doing, it is making a huge difference. And it was really great to get the stories across, and it was a really great night. And you know, it was getting high, people getting a little emotional. Starting to get a little sick here and there. It was starting to become crunch time.
Absolutely correct. When we get to that height, people were starting to feel ill, feel crook, and it's the reason why you're doing the things you do that keep you going. And those type of talks picked you up. You know, it sent you to go, okay, whatever obstacles in my road, I'm going to mow over the top of this because what we're doing here is so important. You know, nothing's going to get in my way. So. Inspirational stuff at some of the tea houses around our talks, and plus you really got to know everyone, what makes them tick, why they're here. And I mean, that's the beauty of these type of trips. You get down really close, you make fast friends, and you never forget it. So we were off to our next adventure after that, and that was Gorrokshire.
We're going to rock and roll. We're all going to get up there on top of this magnificent mountain. We're going to see the 8 different Everests today, if you like.
It was the start of our big day. We had to walk to Gorrokshire by lunchtime, have something to eat, and then we took on Everest Base Camp.
I still remember having lunch as a group. There was excitement. Whilst a few boys were showing definite signs of struggling, there was certainly that excitement that we could touch and we could feel the goal that we're all out to achieve. And I don't think anything was going to stop us after lunch. We were ready.
We all walked as a group. It was quite flat along the valley as you get to Everest Base Camp. And while it was hard, you know, within ourselves, we did it. But when we all got there as a group, we picked up the flags. We've got amazing photos. All those memories are there for all of us to keep forever and a day. What a wonderful feeling. Everything was worth it.
Oh, the feeling of victory. Seeing 30 great mates, lifelong mates now, gathered on that mountain. We've all achieved it. Looking around on the mountain, there we were, 30 of us. We had Daniel Harrigan, he was 16. We had guys well over 50, all walks of life there. As one, we did it together, and it was just such a great feeling. It's such a wonderful feeling to have done this with these people, and we all certainly felt a real sense of achievement.
28 started, 28 finished, 100%.
Every bloke that was up there had their own thoughts about, you know, what got them there and you know, how they're going in their own life and where you're at. And as I said before, we all thought of Matt Callender. And as it worked out, Matt was in dire trouble at that particular time. He was fighting for his life. And, you know, being up there at that time and thinking of him was really powerful, and really pointing at that this whole cause is real. And, you know, we did our bit, we got there, we raised the money, but there's still plenty left to do. It was a unique feeling, and we all carry that with us, and we won't forget it. And I think these pictures that we all see will always remind us of how special it was.
You know, to get to that point, it took a lot. It took a lot of fundraising, a lot of commitment. The word family was constantly used at our meetings. It was an emotional time for everyone.
At that point in time, you know, we've all done a few trips and treks and all the rest of it, but I think that's the best thing I've ever done, because looking around at where we were and the people that was there, and for me personally, I had my youngest son with me, so I had that memory as well. It was just a beautiful moment, powerful moment, not without its challenges, and little did I know at that time there was even more challenges to come for the group. You know, we walked back and all hell broke loose.
Yeah, that 2 hour or so walk after achieving the goal, it was a strange feeling. The sun was beating down on us. Lots of us didn't bring probably the amount of water we should have for that leg of the trip, and things went really quiet. Matty John stopped telling jokes. Blokes stopped smiling. Blokes slowed up. Things were happening. And I remember walking really slowly and hearing from nowhere is this horse walking by me. It was like surreal. And I could see the group, and we were split up into little pockets, but we were looking very, very disheveled. And you just felt that, wow, we've achieved this goal, but now we're all down, and we're down and out a little bit.
Yeah, it really seemed like we pushed ourselves beyond our normal limits for this amazing cause, but there was a reckoning, an equalisation about to happen. My story was, I went to bed because I had this tingling sensation up my spine, like something was wrong. I felt crook. I put my head down for 45 minutes, and I think we'll all remember that those rooms were like an esky.
Oh.
They were the coldest rooms in the universe. And me and Daniel got up, and I went into the tea room, and it was like a triage out of MASH. Chungy was just ill all over the floor. Crowy's on oxygen. There's 2 or 3 other boys in their rooms that they can't get out. There's a real sense of there's something seriously wrong here at the moment. And when it all come to the fore, it's like our boys are dangerously low on oxygen, and they've rattled the figures off around 55%. If you're under 90, you're getting oxygen. It was just so lucky that all those tea houses have to, a part of their policy, carry oxygen. Otherwise, we're in real trouble.
Yeah, something I will never forget. I was charging around room to room. I'd see people laying down sick. Blokes like Jamie Forbes, the fittest man in the world. The blank look on his face and just looking so daunted and tired. Stephen Crow laying on a lounge with an oxygen mask on his head, you know. Here they are all doing this for the Mark Hughes Foundation. I'm up there feeling helpless. I'm grateful that we had Dr. Stephen Rimmer, and I've got to say, Wild Spirit Adventures, Wayne Weatherall, he was amazing in this situation. And these pair worked together around the clock. I didn't sleep as well. Lots of us didn't sleep.
We were trying to get helicopters to come in that night, that afternoon. Couldn't happen, had to wait till the next morning, which even added more angst because, like you say, everyone was up checking on everyone all night. And again, it showed that teamwork.
Looking back now, it probably made the trip even more special, seeing the way the group binded together and helped each other and got through it. And it certainly created a lot of headlines back home. We were quite, it was weird. I was getting phone calls off the media. I was seeing pictures of the newspapers. It was big news back home. So we woke to a beautiful sunny morning after what was an eventful night. And you know you're high when the clouds are actually going down underneath you. That's when you know you're pretty high. And it was time to get the choppers, and we had a priority list. We had our 6 or so soldiers that were crook. We needed them on the first choppers. So we're all gathered out there waiting for the fog to clear, for the skies to open so we could get our boys out of there.
James Bond, eat your heart out. We were going deluxe choppers from the top of the mountain. It felt like we were in a movie. Chopper after chopper, the boys getting on. It was mayhem. There was too much weight. The chopper had to hug the bottom of the ground because the air was too thin. Everywhere we went, there was always something happening. There was always drama, and just high adventure. Everything wasn't easy, and the choppers were the same. We eventually all took off from that mountain position at Gorikshep, and we got to in the middle of this valley where we had to wait to get another chopper so we could get us back to Lukla. Now this place I thought was a haven. It was like an absolute Arctic wind blowing through there. And by the time I got there, Crowie and a few other guys were huddled in a little dip in the ground just to keep out of the wind. It was freezing. This thing didn't get easier, it just got harder.
Yeah, yet another challenging day. And I remember just sitting in that helicopter and just looking out over where we'd just been and what we'd done and just having a think and just saying, how lucky are we? How lucky are we to be able to do this together, to experience this amazing journey? And it certainly gave us a great look over what we've achieved.
We had to get back to Kathmandu and no rest. We had to get these guys to the hospital.
But we certainly felt really great that we finished the trip. We knew our fellas were in a reasonable condition. So we were pretty much ready now just to sit back, have a nice cold beer and a nice feed and relive what was an eventful, amazing 10 or so days.
I'll never forget the amazing dinner we all had. The boys had come out of the hospital. They were on this massive, big, long table. And here we are, to get all the boys together with everyone's commitments to make an appointment would just about be impossible over here. But here we were, we had all the time in the world. We sat there, we spoke about what we just did, what we'd achieved, what had happened. And there was laughter, there were stories, and that night just rolled on and on and on. And I thought it was the absolute amazing way to pay homage to what we just did.
So 28 men. So girls. Oh, I'm going to sing it. So now, let's hear the trekker's tale. It's their voice you want to hear. 28 men, all fit in strong.
It was great along the track to see
Wanger's the boss.
people breaking up and talking with each other and moving on. It was like this big working machinations up and down, all these, and the backdrop of all these amazing locations. But I've got to tell you, all the time, the Cessnock boys would always come together, and you'd look around, there's Matty Johns, there's Billy Peden, and the great Forbesy, telling stories, laughing together about the old days. It was so great to see. You got to see everyone in their own unique way, and everyone was on that trip with just really incredible people, and I thought it brought the best out in all of us. It really did.
Chief, toughness comes in all shapes and sizes. What do you make of these Sherpas?
Yeah, the whole of Kathmandu and Nepal, there's a certain feel about everyone that lives there. There's humility. They're used to a tough time. They know adversity, but there's a smiling essence that comes through them that they don't need much in their world to be happy. And living at such high altitudes, there's not a lot up there, but there's this simple joy. So for us to be involved with our Sherpas for that period of time through some pretty tough times, we got to see them and they got to see us. And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. They told us about where they come from, what they do, and their way of life. And, they were funny guys. They had a great sense of humour, and they took their job seriously, but it was one of the great highlights of the trip.
Special people, and to get to know these guys, to see their smiling faces, it's certainly a highlight of the trip.
It all sunk in when we were having that dinner at the end. I remember sitting there and the realisation had just come, oh wow, I'm in the moment enjoying this amazing, this amazing dinner with, a lot of great mates. It was a pretty good feeling knowing that everyone's safe, everyone's here on this table, and we did it. You know what? Everything we did on this trip had a price to pay. You had to push yourself a little bit beyond what you normally do. And in proportion to what you push yourself, you seem to get that same reward back. And in fact, maybe twofold.
Set my sails on fire and watch my vessel sink, 'cause I've seen the shores of every tide, but I still wished I was in your sea. I had buried my wandering heart deep into the earth, 'cause when we were mountain tops apart,